Yo, what is going on, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Pitch Podcast, a beautiful game of life, part of the Believe Network. I am Ramsey Abushala, editor of UrbanPitch.com. To my left, Julio Monterosa, executive director of Vibes. It's just us, second week in a row.
Yeah, no, I switched my name to VP of Chugs.
VP of Chugs. That sounds interesting. What do you care to embellish on that?
No.
Okay.
See me at a party and you'll find out.
No. All right. Okay. Let's get going.
No. Shotguns. I'm taking any person that wants to smoke. I think I can.
Mr. Shotgun.
I think I can kill a beer before anybody else.
Okay. All right. Well.
See me at a game. Call me out on this, please.
All right. But speaking of seeing you outside, Julio, you were outside this weekend.
I was outside this weekend, man. Shout out to Team Sueño. They invited me to Broadway Nights. They had a whole soccer field there for the community. So basically, I was playing with the Team Sueño. We were playing Team Sueño against the community. So basically, anybody that signed the waiver, you could have played against us, a pickup game against us. We had great players. Wessel was there. One of the Sunday League legends, Paulo Fox, was there as well. Not the one you know, a different one. Yeah. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I actually played a lot. So it was fun playing against the community. Some of these people were taking it too serious. I was like slide tackling on the indoor court.
Wow.
I know. I'm like, dude, relax.
Even for you.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not here trying to get hurt. I did feel bad because I did overdo it at one point because some guy was pushing so hard, and I kind of, because there was like a little barrier, like little gates, you know the little metal gates they do for crowd control?
Yeah.
So the guy was
sent him into one of them?
No, he came to me to try to send me, step back and just push him. He went head first.
Oh my goodness.
So then I was like, ooh, I gotta relax.
Yeah.
This is for the community.
Right.
I can't be out here.
You forgot where you were at for a second. Yeah.
I got a little competitive because we were losing at first. We were losing every single game because we were being nice. And everybody's being aggressive and we were being nice. I'm like, nah, heck no, we gotta step it up a little bit. I don't like losing. I'm a sore loser and winner. So yeah, but it was fun though. The community was there. Trinidad James had a set. They had wrestling. It was a whole vibe. Kevin DeLeon made sure that to let it known that it was him. Every poster had his face.
Yeah, if there's one thing that he's gonna do, he's gonna
Kevin,
put his name
come on, Kevin.
on the
Be a little bit more subtle. You had a whole like drama, and you still want to whatever.
Yeah,
that's here nor there. But no, shout out to him though, because even though whatever he has going with, he made the community feel special, and the community loved it. It was a lot of people there. Like I said, they had lucha libre wrestling there. Wow. And like I've never seen wrestling in front of me
in person.
It was fun. It was great. Like people getting fake slapped and then making a big scene about it.
Wrestling is like it's not, obviously it's not real, but it's the real deal.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
They're doing stunts
it's
up there.
It's planned mayhem is what I'll call it.
Yeah.
But man, it was a great event. Like once again, shout out to Team Sueño for inviting me. Man, I would love to do that again. Honestly, anything for the community, it was fun. It was in the middle of downtown LA by Pershing Square. So you imagine playing soccer with high rises all around you. Yeah. Man, it was beautiful.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. Every stat, matchup, breakdown, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during games. With the largest catalog of odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL, NBA, and even political props. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet online, the game starts here. That's cool, man. That's cool. I mean, shout out to you doing your job out here, getting appearance fees, man. Like, let's go.
Yeah, nah, I did it for the community.
And I mean, you know, and a check.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into soccer stuff. Not that wasn't soccer stuff, but we got a lot of like new current events that have been going on. Let's start with the U.S. men's national team, because we were talking about this last week and a couple weeks before. Obviously, the last 2 months, I feel like as U.S. men's national team fans have been a pretty exciting time with Mauricio Pochettino coming into the fold. He had his chance to kind of show his stuff, and you know, they were doing the camp in the last few weeks. They're doing press conferences, but now, you know, Panama, Mexico, he had a chance to kind of show what they were working on, what his style of play, what his vision is moving forward on the field. So made his debut, 2 international friendlies, Panama took care of business. Mexico, maybe another different story. But what did you see in those two games? And I know it's not the result, especially the second result wasn't what we wanted, and a lot of people are maybe a little trepidatious about the start. But what did you see from those two games?
Yeah, first things first. I think he's a player's coach. Like just by like the conference, the press conference that they were making. Even though they've said that this is the most running they've done.
Yeah, they never did a 2-hour session. They never did a 2-hour session before. This is kind of crazy.
Definitely, but something about his teams is they're gonna high press all game.
Yeah.
Against Panama, it just showed people trying to let him know what they have because it is a new coach. You do want to show what he got. He left McKinney in the bench. I don't know if most people are like it's a statement piece because they know how to get the best of McKinney, sitting him down. I'm like, I don't know about that. That guy has been proving himself. There's no reason he should be proving himself with the national team as well.
Right.
But then again, you never know. He does like playing head games with a lot of their players. So, but the first game was great. You saw them a little bit more dynamic, attacking more on the flanks, pretty dynamic, and they were just moving forward really well. That 1-2 to Musa to score the goal.
Yeah.
It was great. Still some doubts. Who's our 9?
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the
Ricardo
question.
Pepi did score, but who's our 9? Still, I think that's a spot where I think that's a spot where it should be the most eyes on it because none of the forwards we have right now have won that spot. Nobody can say we're the one.
Yeah.
And I think by a lot of the injuries, a lot of people should have stepped up this game. Like I said, Pepe scored, so that's always a plus. But I enjoyed the team, especially from like what you heard on the outside, what you heard on the inside. And then going on to like the Mexico game, of course, he sent a few of the players home, and that goes back. He knows how competitive that European tournament is and how many games these guys are playing.
Right.
So even Pulisic, I believe he played like 50 games last year.
Yeah.
It's
So
a lot of soccer.
Before we get into all that, I want to talk about some of the things that I saw during the two games. You said the number 9 situation. I think Folarin Balogun is kind of in terms of the profile, the make, and what you want out of a 9. That's who you want. I'm a fan of Pepe. I like his game. I think when he's hot, like he's very streaky. So I think consistency is a thing for him.
Not even healthy. Like he's been talking about that ankle injury for like about a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I wish he just stopped playing and just got better because. He can really compete for that spot when he's healthy.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the size, he's got the mobility. Like he's very prototypical for that position. Yeah. Josh Sargent is someone that in the championship he's been putting up some numbers, and it seems like he's just like a good championship player. I don't think that league is as good as a lot of people, just because it's in England, just because, it's a second division, or just because, there are Premier League, level teams technically there that are getting moved up and down. I just, when Norwich got moved up, he didn't really do much. I haven't seen like that level from him that I think that, he might have inside of him, or that people think that he has. I want to see more from him. I'm rooting for him, as a U.S. fan. I don't like to, push players down or hate on players. But I wanted to see more out of him from this short window. But the number 9 is always going to be a question. I did like what I saw from Gianluca Busio in the midfield. He's a young player, with Venezia.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about him last week.
We've been talking about I brought him up like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
That one of those players that might be like. It might be a great camp for him just because new coach means no place is secure. Of course, we do have those. You have the A tier players, but everywhere else there's not a lot of secure spots. Yeah, definitely. Our center backs, Ream does look like he's lost a step. Yeah. But we do have a McKinney. We do have a Richardson. So I don't know. I think our center backs is probably the most stacked position that we have. Mm-hmm. So that's great. I like our defense. We still gotta. I like our center backs. We still got questions on the right. Who's gonna be our right back? Right. Anthony Robinson secured that left side. Yeah. It's his and his only. We're still waiting for Serginho Dest to come back. And I think that he, there's talk about how the team has struggled without him. Yeah.
He's a very dynamic player. Defensively, he's not the most
but he's
sturdy
going up.
player, but
he complements with our players are going up.
Yeah, and
so
he's very dangerous. He's very confident. Like he has that kind of like audaciousness that like he will try anything.
Marcelo status.
And like half the time you're kind of like oh my god, what is this guy doing? And then the other half is like, oh my god, this guy's a genius. You know what I mean? So
and definitely, and he's feisty as well. Like,
right. Yeah.
You saw it against Mexico. There's 3 people around him. He still wanted to fight. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, and then he sent the ball off.
Yeah.
We kind of reamed him for that. But I mean, I think he is.
He's missed.
Yes, I agree, and I'm hoping he gets better. I'm hoping he makes a quick recovery because he's a key player to this team.
Definitely.
But for that second game, I think I watched the first half of it. I had low expectations going into it with all the players that were not going to be available for that. And it wasn't the most inspired performance.
Yeah, but it was a 2-0. It didn't feel like a 2-0. First of all, Mexico scored 2 bangers.
Dude, that free kick was incredible.
2 bangers.
Oh, my goodness.
Raul is back.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for him, as well as long as with the head injury. He could have died with that head injury. And for him to come back, had a low year. I think he was scoring 4 goals in the EPL. And then came back. Now he's at 9 goals.
Yeah,
this season, like 14 matches, something crazy
balling,
like that.
He is balling.
He is balling, so I'm happy for him. It's happy for when Mexico's doing good, it's good for the conference.
Yeah.
Because like we come from a conference that does not have a lot of competitive teams, so adding another one, it's great. It's great for the U.S. to have top level teams to play for. Because once we get out of this CONCACAF, every other team is way better. Like,
yeah.
So you want to see Mexico do good. You want to see Canada do good. You want to see these island teams bring those EPL players and do good as well, because we need as much competition. Because I do like it was a small sample size, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
I did enjoy how it looked.
Yeah, and to that point, it's very difficult. One of the biggest, not criticisms, but like there was the whole thing around Greg Berhalter was like, okay, he beats the CONCACAF teams, but what can he do against the UEFAs or the CONMEBOLs or the African teams or the Asian teams? But it's hard to get those games in international friendlies or just because of the travel and we're not playing and in tournaments, like unless we're getting invited to a Copa America, like it's hard to get competitive games against top level teams outside of a World Cup. So the answer to that problem, a potential answer I should say, is the other CONCACAF nations rising their level. Some of these the Jamaican team is getting a bunch of these players that were born in England that have Jamaican ancestry. Same with some of the other island
like
nations,
Guadeloupe, Martinique,
Guadeloupe. So I think I really do think that CONCACAF improving is a big. Everybody wins. And
I don't have a hot take on that. I feel like in 2 World Cup cycles, once these EPL players see that England's not an option. These island teams it is an avenue to get into the World Cup and play it at a big stage, especially if you're a mid-level tier player. Like, come play CONCACAF. Like there's 4 spots in the Central American teams. I hate to say they are more out than they are in.
Yeah.
So these are 2. This is a spot that you can get because Canada, the U.S. and Mexico are increasing, but you can see a Martinique or a Jamaica sneak in to that 4th or even 3rd spot.
Yeah.
So I think in 2 World Cup cycles, a lot of these EPL players that do have island roots could really consider this. Mm-hmm. You don't have to play against hard teams all the time. You do have to play El Salvador, Guatemala, and Costa Rica, and Honduras, which like it sucks because they're gonna hit you all game, but they're not at the level of you guys. Not even close. And it's gonna take them years upon years before they can even get to a level of a competitive league.
Yeah. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, there's another kind of fallout from these two friendly. There's this last international window, and that is the whole load management issue with Christian Pulisic specifically. So there's a lot of injuries, right? Chris Richards was injured. Weston McKennie not 100%. Tim Weah I don't think was part of the camp. Obviously Gio Reyna's dealing with whatever he's dealing with. Paredes, yeah. So a lot of injuries going into this camp. And then they, because of those injuries, they sent some players home after the first game against Panama. Christian Pulisic, who is ostensibly healthy, has been playing at a high level with AC Milan. They sent him away to go get back to Milan, get back and ready for the rest of the domestic season with his club, which caused the ire from certain pundits, certain fans that are upset at this decision. I have some thoughts on that, but Julio, what do you think about the whole kind of outrage that Pulisic should have played that second game?
Protect our stars. They are playing more games now than they were playing when you guys were playing. For example, Alexis Lalas probably playing most. He's playing 30 games a season. Mm-hmm. I think it was like 235 games that I saw for 9 years. Mm-hmm. So you're playing almost 30 games a season, which Pulisic last year just played 50 games. Yeah, 20. That's 20 more games that you're adding to that body, and then you have international call-ups. Then the travel, they're not going from LA Galaxy to play in Dallas, Texas. They're coming all the way from different parts of the world. So at this point, you can say it's blasphemy. In my time, I wanted to hear about low management. In your times, MLS sucked. You were playing against a lot of D1 players that made the league just for the simple reason that the league needed players. Yeah. So it was Sunday League ball getting paid. Okay. So I don't agree on that. Of course, there's science that back it up now. We do want them to be as healthy as possible, especially how many injuries the team is already dealing with. Right. We don't want to get them subject to another injury. Right.
And Christian Pulisic is someone that has a history of injuries and has had issues at times, staying healthy. And to your point, Alexis Lalas was one of the loudest critics of this move, and I don't want to denigrate Lalas' career because he had a good career. If all things considered, you remove any bias or feeling that you have from him as a pundit, from him as a voice talking about the sport. You look at his career. That's a solid career. He had a good played
career,
in World Cups. What was
94, everybody remembers him because of his hair.
Right, yeah, yeah. Maybe is known for his appearance more than his game, but still, you can't deny. You look at that career from a completely neutral standpoint. That's a solid. You take that. However, it's much more different. I think that Christian Pulisic is playing at a high level of not just number of games, but the amount of scrutiny and pressure that comes playing in high leverage matches. Puts a lot more stress on your body than it does, playing in MLS at the time. So I think that the situations definitely have changed. And yes, that second game against Mexico, 2-0, they got their butts kicked, right? Was that game a disaster? It wasn't a disaster. You know what would have been a disaster is if Christian Pulisic rolls his ankle or pulls a hamstring or gets slide tackled and has to sit out 1 or 2 months, having had the start to the season that he's had. That would have been the real disaster.
That game was more important in Mexico than it was for the U.S.
And listen, I see that it's Pochettino's first opportunity to manage the team on the pitch.
And he did a great job.
It's a game against Mexico in Mexico, right? That game didn't really matter.
Did not matter.
Like big picture,
I agree.
That game was not that big of a deal. And it is much more important for Christian Pulisic to stay healthy, to stay in form, to continue the start that he's had to the season with Milan, to keep that going because he's the most important player on the team.
And first of all, the pundits are mad because it's not one of their buddies coaching the team anymore. These U.S. players, especially the 94 World Cup team, early times, I saw that. Goalie, I forgot his name. Tim Howard.
Tim Howard was one of the louder critics.
Dude, Tim Howard should know better. You were able to play in two different decades of soccer, especially U.S. soccer. When MLS was not that great and you was in Europe, you saw how hard it was from you coming from different parts of the world to come play. So I'm more angry at Tim Howard than I am at Alexis, just because he should know. He should know how hard it is, especially the European, especially a player that's trying to get minutes and is finally getting minutes in the European time. And there's a team that's actually loving his game, enjoying him, and supporting him 100% as an American player. So Tim Howard, you should know better. Alexis, he's always going to come up with some wow.
I think Alexi Lalas is good at that whole kind of Stephen A. Smith type, like very incendiary comments, and maybe saying stuff that he knows is going to draw comments and draw engagement that I don't know if he means it or not, but I think the Tim Howard stuff, that if I was Christian Pulisic, it hurts a little bit more because Tim Howard is someone that is very respected.
Yes.
And that someone who's played that he's probably, you can put him in, we talk about
one of the best goalies that we ever had.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best American players that's ever played.
Yes.
Along with Dempsey, along with Donovan, he gets put into a different category because he's a goalkeeper. But he was playing like he was on Manchester United.
Top 11 best American players ever.
That was a huge deal. You know what I mean? And
even with his Everton career,
he was much more known for his Everton career, and he did much better with Everton than he did, at United. But that's somebody who, when he speaks, people listen.
Yes,
and. Maybe he has a point that, yes, as a captain, as a leader of the team, you need to lead by example. But in this particular situation, I don't think that an international friendly against Mexico in October with no, World Cup qualifying on the line, no tournament on the line, no trophies on the line, there's really not much to gain from from him playing in that game.
Do you think the players now compared to the players back then, this Mexico rivalry is the same? Or has Canada sneaked in? And we talked a lot more about Jesse Marsch with Canada because Mexico has been struggling for the last few years. Do you think these players take Canada more serious than they take Mexico?
I don't think so. I still think Mexico is the top rival. I think Canada. Who was saying? It might have been Anthony Robinson in his press conference talking about the intensity of Canada and how Canada is just nasty to play against, and how at the end of that Berhalter run, it wasn't the same intensity as maybe in years past. And that nastiness that they were playing with, in maybe 2020, 2021 or pre-2022 World Cup, it wasn't the same after the World Cup. And so him specifically saying Canada, because Mexico, in terms of intensity, that they always play intense. Yeah, no matter how good or bad they are as a team. One thing about Mexico is they're going to come at you, and they're going to come in with late tackles. They're going to be feisty. They're going to get in your face.
But I think lately it's been more Canada than Mexico.
And I still think the players take Mexico more serious as a rival, but Canada is certainly coming up closer because of the Jesse Marsch connection, because they have a lot of MLS players on Canada, because they have the best player in CONCACAF right now, Alphonso Davies. I think that it's an interesting point. I still do think, though, that the whole Mexico thing is taken seriously by fans and players alike.
Oh, I think it's more. I think it's a generational thing. I don't think Mexico brings in that same punch that you once brought. Because how much improvement Canada has had in the last few years.
But I think this could be the start of something new with Mexico getting a new manager, with the U.S. getting a new manager. The whole thing of Berhalter versus Tata Martino, that seems like it's so far in the past. And Mexico's trying to figure their things out. This could be the start of a newly sparked rivalry that may or may not have gotten stale over the last few years.
Yeah, but I think by bringing Rafa Marquez, a lot of the older players that played in the national team. Could still have that animosity against them because it was Rafa Marquez against Donovan for many years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rafa Marquez killing it with Barcelona, winning Champions Leagues, playing with a Ronaldinho, playing with a Messi, playing with the best players in the world. Landon Donovan being that poster child saying, "F Europe, I'm gonna make MLS better."
He peed in the stadium.
Yeah, peed in the Azteca. Did the little leg up. I don't know why I put my legs no diddy. I feel like I get where they're coming from because at the end of the day, for them it's like Tom and Jerry on site. Yeah. But I don't think it carries that same punch to these players nowadays.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because I'm trying to think of. Because before that last game on Tuesday, what was that broke a huge streak going back to I think 2019. I think so it has been very one-sided.
So that's what
I would love to see this rivalry spark back up and get to where it was. Matt Miazga did this to you know what I mean? Get back to that.
But I don't think I think the improvement of Canada, and then that Canada and U.S. like beef, like and anything they do, we do. It's always like, why are we gonna get mad at Canada? They're the nicest people ever. Like the jokes that go back and forth. But I think Canada's like AA.
You can still have two very
But I think for this generation, Canada's a bigger rival than Mexico is.
That's an interesting point. Yeah. I wonder. Leave us a comment. And if you think one way or the other, let us know. Send us an email. Do whatever. But that's very interesting to me because I never really thought about it like that. But yeah, I'm very interested to see where this goes, where Pochettino will take this rivalry because this wasn't the start that he had in mind. I'm sure his first game against one of the biggest rivals that the U.S. has.
Yeah, but he's sent all his best players home.
And to me, that's where the expectation level. That's why I didn't watch the second.
Yeah, no, definitely, and it goes back to him being Argentinian, and Argentina being the dads of Mexico. So he started playing mind games already. He's like, hey, I'm gonna beat you with my B team. It didn't work out though.
Okay, let's switch over to the NWSL. We haven't talked about the NWSL in a while.
Shout out to Christian Pulisic.
Christian Pulisic, but don't talk to me about that game because
even though, shout out to the shout outs.
That should have been the game winner, and then maybe 2 minutes later, like the 109th minute,
let's not dwell on that. Let's worry about the positive. Shout out to you, man. It's like seeing Alonzo Ball play again. Like, you love to see these stories.
Yeah, and even because she was getting kind of limited minutes leading up to that, and even in that game, I don't think she came in the second half. But there was still that spark, and you could still tell that she still has it. That first cutback she has it's so sharp. It really is on another level. And when you haven't been watching that for 2 years and then you see it, it's like, oh my goodness.
It's just amazing. All right, Alyssa Thompson, she's a great attacking player, but it's amazing seeing Angel City with a true attacker. Mm-hmm. Like, because it was a lot of touch inside the box. Nobody wants to shoot.
And then now
she's shooting.
She's a shark in the it was 4 players that ball curved around. Yeah. Like Katie Zellum built up the play in the midfield. Dribbled 2 players and then was able to get it to press. I mean, it was just a beautiful goal. But that's not what I was initially going to talk about the NWSL. But yes, I'm glad you shouted out because that was a beautiful moment.
We love that. We love to see that here.
I'm very upset that it was spoiled by the equalizer, a few minutes later. But there's other more pressing news and more concerning news in the NWSL with the new Boston expansion team made their announcement of their new team name, and they had a very fraught marketing.
They have a lot of balls in Boston.
Yeah. So first off, before we get into the Too Many Balls campaign, their team they decided to name their team BOS Nation. So that's BOS all caps Nation FC. Which to me is a very interesting choice. And we like to be this is a very positive podcast for first and foremost. We don't like to be negative. We don't like to throw unnecessary criticism.
Shout out to Urban Pitch with AC/DC song playing in the background. That's one of my favorite songs growing up.
That was Javier Perez who was on that post.
A little bit of backstory about that song though before we get into it.
Okay.
My cousin was a big rocker growing up. Alex man. And then he used to take me to soccer games. And he had that AC/DC album, and every time
Big Balls.
Yeah, we had to play a song because we thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean that's a hilarious song.
Yeah, it's a great song, and it's a great album.
Yeah. So BOS Nation FC, and the name is supposedly an anagram of Bostonian. Do with that what you like. It doesn't really make sense to have an anagram as a team name. Just make that your team name. That's just me. I'm not an expert.
They should have called it Wahlberg FC.
There's a lot of suggestions on social media following this announcement, but so BOS Nation FC, that was already negative. That the reaction to the name was not positive, and then they put out this video, this campaign, surrounded
We got
around
balls everywhere.
too many balls was
Yeah.
was the like catchphrase, and
never
they
got
had
it.
they registered a website, toomanyballs.com. They did a whole video talking about, there's all these balls in Boston, not talking about the balls that you play within the sport. They're talking about a certain body part on men. They're talking about goat balls, cold balls. It was a very strange approach, to say the least. It has since been deleted from their social media.
It was anti-man.
No. It was deleted from the social media, deleted from the agency that they hired. They deleted, they cleared it. They sent out an apology, which is never a good sign.
That agency got
24 hours after the video comes out. Just a very strange way to introduce yourself to the world. And to me, it missed the mark for not
obvious
because
reasons.
Yeah, for obvious reasons, but I think instead of focusing on the product and what they were going to do, they try to make it about something else, and they want to be edgy. I get that. They want to, stand out from the noise, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel when you're doing a sports team.
Especially in Boston, that's a championship city.
That is a great sports city.
Yeah, like it's like LA. Like anything LA, like sports. For some reason, Boston has a team to fight us. They had that championship. We beat the New England Revolution in the Boston Red Sox against the Dodgers
in 2018.
Yeah, the Celtics against the Lakers. So like,
yeah,
it's a great sports team. Like so they missed the mark. It should have been more a campaign about, hey, we have more champions coming into town.
Right.
Like
right. And
it's such an easy mark to hit because it's Boston.
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
Across, and you see, it's not a secret, right? Angel City has done it very well. Bay FC did it very well. Kansas City has done it very well. Of focusing, on themselves, on the product, on the team's values, what they value, what they want to push forward, what they want to champion, what they want to, put out in the world. And not focus it on balls. Like it to me that was extremely weird. I'm glad that the backlash was
they
swift.
Had Sydney on the video.
Yeah, Sydney LaRue.
And she replied saying blue balls.
Sydney LaRue, first off, absolute goat on social media.
Yeah.
Like if you're not following Sydney LaRue on Instagram and on Twitter, like you're missing out. She's
hilarious.
absolute goat. Speaking of goats, but yeah. So I don't know, man. There was a lot of different things that came out, and that that they wanted to target, like they thought that 60% of the audience was going to be the males, according to like a interview that they had.
Yeah, but
but to me, it's like, look at what Angel City has done.
Yes.
Look at what Kansas City has done. Like if you focus on like yourself, not like on.
First of all, if you're focusing on
outside.
Mills, something about Mills, we don't like getting talked about.
Right.
We got too many balls.
Yeah. I don't know, but
it should have been lingerie football. We probably enjoyed it a little bit more.
Like that's. I mean, it's on that level of like
disrespect.
Like, yeah, exactly. So there's been a lot of like kind of missteps outside of this in specifically the soccer world when it comes to branding, but they had the advantage. Like the Chicago Fire had a really bad rebrand, and I think it was 2021. Yeah. So did Montreal that same year, but they had the luxury of having already established themselves. Like the Chicago Fire, like very historic team. Same with Montreal. Montreal has a history that goes back as well, maybe further than people think, but it is. Like, this is their introduction to the world. And I don't know if you bounce back from this. Boston has, like you said, not just a sports history, but a women's soccer history. The Boston Breakers were part of the league. One of the founding. I think they're one of the founding teams. Don't quote me on that. But they have, like history in that they could have focused on. And to me, it was just disappointing to see this. But it is going to be in textbooks, like in like college marketing textbooks, like
what not to do.
Yeah, exactly. And when I was in college, we took some of these kind of case studies, and this is what they did right, this is what they did wrong, and we did a presentation on that. Wrong. I guarantee you, next year, at least one college in the nation is going to have a presentation or some kind of thing that somebody's gonna have to present on why this move was
a BOS FC,
BOS Nation too.
BOS Nation, whatever.
That sounds like
they're gonna have to take the Gotham City approach and just sign all stars you can, because that's the only way you're gonna bounce back from this. Like, have a great team. Like, you can't have a effed up campaign and have a bad team, because that's all bad.
That's lose.
You're gonna be a joke. You're gonna be the Clippers.
Yeah. BOS Nation sounds like a racist podcast.
Oh, it's Boston. It's Boston though. It's Boston.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's Boston though.
Like, that does sound like that, like, you know, some Proud Boy stuff.
They're gonna give cone hats first game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be. Yeah, this is in honor of the Boston history, like the Boston Tea Party. Wear these white cone hats.
Yeah. First game. First 100,000 fans.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And if you wear a white robe, entrance is free.
Kids get in free with a white robe. Oh my God.
Man, you can't sometimes you think about, like, you can't make this up, especially like the money that is being put into these agencies. The approval process is working behind the scenes, just seeing things at Urban Pitches, and the amount of approvals that need to be given okays before things can be
the amount
posted.
Of yeses, the amount of it's wild.
Like, it might have been it might have been minions going against minions. Yeah.
However, I do say I hope that they bounce back, because Boston is a good sports city. I think that this could be, you know, the league is trending on upwards path, and I am rooting for them to kind of bounce back from this, and hopefully they can. I'm not a fan of the name, but maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll stick. I just want them to kind of figure out something that works for them. I know Sam Mewis, who's a former U.S. Women's National Team player. She's retired, Boston native. She's kind of laying like, yo, like, I wish the best for you guys. Hopefully they bring her in, and maybe in some form, like kind of how Gotham FC brought in that all women's, you know, like board team. So I don't know, man. Like, it was funny to see in the moment, but also concerning.
Yeah, definitely.
And especially, I hope they bounce back.
Doesn't the league have to approve it too?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know.
It's really disappointing.
Yeah.
But I do think you still have time to make it right.
Yeah.
I don't think you made shirts of BOS Nation, and if you have, stop production immediately.
Yeah. No, they stopped all the merch, the Too Many Balls merch.
Yeah.
That thing all bad.
So yeah, you still got time to fix it. LAFC's first colors was white, black and red. Now that they're white, black and gold.
Nobody remembers that.
Nobody remembers that. So this could be forgotten if you come back with a better name and fire merch.
Yeah, fire merch and good players.
Good players, and then have somebody like in that circle that's not involved in the circle to give you a yes or no. You guys messed up.
Yeah, but it happens. I don't think it's happened on this level before, but it does happen, and teams bounce back.
Especially the agency. Chicago
Fire, they have a great crest now. The team itself is not great, but the branding is. You know, so we'll see. We'll see how
I just feel bad for the person leading this project. As soon as it came out, I know they started working on their resume.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, they should have got Jamie Foxx on the Jingles 2000.
Yeah, man. Okay, anything else before we go?
We outside.
Yeah. We got more stuff coming. This has been another episode of the Urban Pitch Podcast, the beautiful game of life, part of the Believe Network. For Julio Monterosa, I'm Ramsey Abushala. We'll see you next week.
No more shotguns.